Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Fire Drill Podcast live on Facebook. Very excited to have everybody here. This is going to be a good one. In case you've noticed some differences, I cut my hair last week. It's gone. I cut off like 8 or so plus inches. So it used to be down, middle of my back here, and it's gone. All gone. Just super short. And I love it because it has been super hot here lately in Minnesota. So it is very nice to have like an extra, lose an extra 2 pounds of hair off the back of my neck and off my back because it's not fun when it gets super hot. So I'm very glad to have cut it off and can't wait to see what it does when it grows out a little bit more. If you've noticed that my voice sounds a little rough today, that would be because I just got back from Camp FI Midwest 2018 on the St. Croix River in Minnesota. 64 of my closest friends descended on the banks of the river to hang out or retreat, to hang out, have fun, learn some new information, meet some cool people in the FI world, play some games, and just generally have a good weekend. I managed to paddle a canoe across the river to Wisconsin, so it's not every day that you can say, I just paddled a canoe to a different state. So that was pretty fun. I am in the middle of writing my write-up about it, but wanted to give you a brief update. So if my voice gives out, don't hate me too much because I talked a lot this weekend. I know you're surprised. I'm shocked. Terribly shocked that I talked so much. But I will see if we can't make it last a little bit longer. So the other update that I have for everybody is I have got good news regarding the Dingle House. So I've been trying to sell this property. I was supposed to close last week on the 17th, 11 days ago, and I did not. The other realtor was like, I don't know if she just wasn't paying attention or is just incompetent or something, but she did not get the paperwork ready from the lender, so they had to file an extension on the property through the 30th, which was stressing me out big time because if it got extended, I had to pay another mortgage payment, and I have like no cash right now. So I got news today that it's going to close. They've got all their paperwork and everything in order. We're picking out a day for the end of the week. So by the end of this week, by Saturday, I will no longer be in real estate. I will no longer be a homeowner, and I am thrilled. Super excited. So keep your fingers crossed that everything works out. One more thing to do on the property before I can sell it, and then I will be done. Done. And I can't wait. I'm very excited. Thank you to everybody for your support and your encouragement along the way in this journey, because it hasn't been super fun for me, but I'm glad that I could provide a little bit of entertainment and education in real estate. So getting away from the real estate, because we talked about that ad nauseum the last couple of weeks, I wanted to bring on Cody Berman today from flytofy.com is his blog, and he's got a new side hustle that I'm sure he's going to be super excited to talk about. So let's get him on. I know we have some really good questions waiting for him. So let's have him come on. Welcome to the show, Cody.
Glad to be here.
Oh, you are quiet. So let's see here. You are on sound and you should be good to go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Maybe it's because my headphones spot. See if that makes a difference.
Okay, Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yay! Okay. All right,
perfect.
Great. Perfect.
I was a little nervous there for a second.
Yeah, like let's troubleshoot over the computer. Yay! Okay, so give everybody a quick introduction if they didn't listen to your episode with us earlier in the year on who Cody is as a person.
Okay, who I am as a person. So I'm super hardcore into this whole financial independence thing that I'm sure everyone listening is probably heard of before. And 22 years old, I discovered FI at 19, so it was a little over 3.5 years ago now. I stumbled upon the 4 Hour Work Week. That just jump started me into side hustles. I got deeper down the rabbit hole, found Mr. Money Mustache. I think I found Get Rich Slowly. And then from there, I started building side hustles. My junior year of college, I co-founded a disc golf company. Some of you may or may not know what that sport is. We might get into that a little bit later. Recently, I graduated college back in December of 2017. Went to Australia from January to June. In the midst of my Australia trip, I started my blog, Flatify, because it was actually, I was getting interviewed for Choose FI, and they asked what was the best place to reach me at. And I didn't have a blog, and I was like, what am I, a loser or something? So I literally made the blog. I think I bought the domain the next day and started from there. And then just recently, this past weekend, I actually launched a podcast in this space called Fire Below Zero. So that's another thing going for me. So I'm just full of ideas, full of side hustles, and excited to see where this fire journey takes me.
Awesome. So, okay, how did you discover FI at age 19?
So I think my mom actually told me I should read the 4 Hour Work Week because I always kind of had like an entrepreneurial spirit to me. Like I'd sell Pokemon cards in fifth grade and stuff like that. So yeah, she just kind of knew I always had that inclination. So she had me read this book, and I was like, wow, it just really clicked for me that I didn't have to work on a linear basis my money for my time. Like I didn't have to work 5 hours to get at $20 an hour. I didn't have to work 5 hours to get $100. I could work X number of hours to build a system or build a company that pays me in perpetuity. And so that was just a huge light bulb moment for me.
Light bulb. Amazing. Okay, so you're graduated from college now. How was your trip to Australia? Because we talked to you in the middle of it, but we didn't get to hear the end of the story.
Yeah, no, it was literally the most amazing trip I've ever done. I suggest anyone who has the chance, even if it's for a few weeks, go do it. Go travel wherever you want to travel. I know 5 months is a very generous amount of time, and I was super fortunate to be able to have that long traveling in Australia, but it's just so amazing. And I literally had no worries in the world. Like my biggest concern was, what are we going to eat for lunch today? I didn't have homework. I didn't have a job. Well, I did have a job, but it was like a side hustle. So yeah, it was so amazing. I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it, but like all around the coast, there's just beautiful cities, beautiful places to visit, and you never get bored in that country.
Yeah, I got to visit Australia for 3 weeks, which I thought was a long time. So 5 months is just like a ridiculously long amount of time, especially now that somebody may be, at a big kid job. So how's the big kid job going?
Oh, I'm not enjoying it too much.
But you're getting paid so much money.
I know. And like that's the thing that sucks. People outside of this community don't understand that. Like I tell them that I have a great job. It's a really good job. I get paid very well. I don't have to I get paid overtime. So I don't have to work like 60 hours a week without getting compensated for that, which is very rare in the finance space where I work. And so my team is cool. My boss is a super nice guy. But just being in this community and seeing all these people who are doing all of these amazing things, taking back their time, living the life that they want to live, not sitting in a cubicle, staring out the window, wishing they could be outside like me every single day. It just makes me want to quit. So my, I guess, goal right now is, my original goal was to quit by July 2019 and support myself in my side hustles, but I'm kind of hoping it's a little earlier than that now.
Just a little bit. Yeah, that would be preferable. I mean, your career is going to be what, like a year long?
Yeah, about a year long. Well, okay, my 9 to 5 career, because I don't want people to get the wrong idea. Like, I don't consider myself lazy. I just want to work on side hustles and things that I'm passionate about. I don't feel passionate about crunching numbers on Excel or writing pointless documents.
Get out of here.
So, yeah.
Well, I attended Camp Mustache with Vicki Robin this year in Seattle, and she was talking about how Americans especially conflate work with their career, and the two should be separate. You work on doing the dishes every night, or you work on cooking yourself food, but your career is what you do to earn money. It's like the way to earn a living. And instead we conflate the two. So like I'm putting in a ton of work, I don't have a career job anymore, but I'm putting in a ton of work every day doing various things. So
Yeah. No, I've heard that before, and I think that's a really good point. And I think you don't see that as much in other countries. That was another cool thing about Australia. People didn't worry about money at all. People weren't working 80-hour weeks to support themselves. Like you can make a living wage being a manager at McDonald's, like a decent wage in Australia. Like you could support a family on that. And it's just different here. I don't know how it came to be. Maybe it's the population difference, but it's just insane the amount of work that Americans have to put in just to kind of reach that quote unquote middle class, which might be more than middle class by any other country's standards.
yeah, definitely. I remember though, gosh, I was in Perth and it was so expensive. It was like $25 for a hamburger and fries. Just one hamburger. Like that's not even with avocado or bacon or any other thing on it. Just a burger.
I think you might have been going to the wrong restaurant because in Brisbane, I went to Perth too. In Brisbane, the Fox Hotel had burger and fries every night from 6 to 8 for $5 Australian, which is 3.75 American.
Yeah, that's really good. Also, when I was there, it was a bit more expensive. The exchange rate was off.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
it flipped where Australia was more expensive and now it's less than the US dollar. So that didn't help anything either.
Did you go on a leisure trip or was this when you were in the Air Force?
That was for fun. My
Okay.
sister lived in Perth, so I got to go crash with her at her apartment. So I didn't even have to pay any housing fees. I just stayed with them for free. So that was amazing.
That's awesome.
Somebody wants to know, Cody, if you went to college and did you get any debt from your college education?
Wait, before I answer, do I have access to these questions too, or are you just feeding them to me?
You have access if you can see the live stream on Facebook, so
Um,
you'll be able to see them. But
it's all right. I'll just have you tell them to me then because I can't see them anywhere.
yeah, okay. So hold on a sec. I can send you a message on Twitter with the
Okay, so
thread.
I'll address the question while you're doing that.
Okay.
So I did not actually come out of college with any debt. So that was mostly intentionality. The biggest first decision was I chose to go to a state school instead of a private school, even though I got half off tuition at the private school for academic scholarship. It was still $30,000 a year. And the state school that I attended was close to $5,000 a year for the 3.5 years I attended. So, I mean, that's $120,000 versus a little over $15,000. It was a no brainer. And on top of that, I got like a lot of scholarships, and I did get some financial aid as well. And it just made college really inexpensive for me. And I know I was very fortunate that my parents did cover that remaining 5 grand a year. I mean, that's also huge. 5 grand might seem insignificant in the college sums of money, but in the grand scheme of things, that's a lot of money, especially when you're paying for it after tax. So I know I'm very fortunate for that part, but a lot of it was intentionality, applying to hundreds of scholarships and picking the cheaper school.
Okay, so I know we went over this on the podcast, but just a refresher, how did you apply for so many scholarships?
So I basically built, like, I actually looked back at it after I did your podcast interview, and I built, it was 6 templates that I had total. And 80% of the scholarship essays are very close. Like they're along the same lines. Oh, I just lost you for a second. Okay, I'm back. So most of the prompts are along the same lines. Like they'll be like, what's your greatest accomplishment, or why did you pursue your major and what do you plan to do with it in the future? So if you build like a few template essays, all you have to do is do like maybe 10, 15 minutes of tweaks and you can apply to a different scholarship every single day. So I was doing like 1 or 2 a day sometimes, and I could just apply to so many using that template. But if I were to apply to 150 with different essays, there's no way I'd get burnt out so fast.
Yeah, if you had to write out all those essays, that would be awful. No, thank you. Um,
Yeah.
Dylan wanted to know, okay, hold on a second. Okay, so David said, Cody, when was the last time you took your mom out to dinner? I think you owe her.
Actually, yesterday, or no,
Nice.
Sunday night. Sorry.
Nice. There you go, David.
So there
He's
you go,
taking
David.
care of his
I do
mom.
owe her. I do owe her. She's awesome.
Okay, so somebody else, let me see the thread of comments here. Um, I made
Oh,
just
geez, we're
missed a
getting
comment.
getting a bunch of comments. Now I see it.
Yeah, we are.
Cool.
Um, we're getting to the rap thing. I promise.
Oh, jeez.
Oh yeah. So Dylan said, "I know your mom was in some of the FI related groups. Did you talk about finances much when you were growing up?"
Yeah, all the time. It wasn't really a secret. Like my parents were always talking about, they weren't shy about what they made, how they were saving, told me about different investment accounts. Like my dad would teach me the difference between like investing in the stock market versus putting it in a bank account, seeing the differences in interest. And obviously that played a huge role in my financial mindset now because I just had that saving mentality and understanding compound interest at age 4 or 5. So I grew up knowing that, and all I wanted to do was save as much money as I possibly could.
Yeah, which is like completely different from my experience growing up, where the thing I knew about money was that we didn't have it. That was all I knew. Like I didn't know anything. Um, so that helped a little bit. Um, yeah, sister said, "Damn it, Cody, you are the golden child." I think he takes over my spot, right? Like I found it at 22 and I thought that was really good. And he's not at 19 and just like whipped the pants off me. And I feel old now.
Hey, I had a kid email me last week who was 14 saying he's interested in getting involved with financial independence. I was like, that is crazy. Like, good for you. You're gonna be light years
Yeah.
ahead of the rest of your classmates.
I think I might have pointed him to you. I saw that somewhere. Either that he wrote about it or something. That was awesome. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so definitely what happens when you're intentional at 14 or 17 or 19 rather than 27 because you have all this time ahead of you to not make mistakes, right? Like if you even just start out like knowing all the things that you need to avoid that can like pitfall you, like not spending all your college loan money on pizzas or fancy watches or stuff, like you're so far ahead of the rest of everybody that you can do so much more with your time and your life.
Yeah, I totally agree. Oh, I'm looking at the feed. Dylan said, uh, do you ever get criticism that you're too young to be jaded by corporate America yet? Yes, all the time. People tell me I have no clue what I'm talking about, that I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And I'm like, you don't know what you're doing with your life. You're miserable in your job and you can't come up with $1,000. Who are you to tell me what to do? That sounded mean, but it's true.
I got that too when I was working and I'd like, I want to retire early. And they're like, why? You just started. Like, you can't hate your life that much already. And I'm like, oh, but I can. That's a thing. Like, definitely. So I agree that it's not too early it's never too early to start hating your job,
What a quote.
right?
Only in
So
the FI community.
So Julia has a question. She says, I have twins who are now 20 years old. One has chosen the college path, but the other is more creative. So where did you get your motivation at such a young age?
I think it all stems back to that idea that you don't have to trade your time for your money on a linear basis. And I'd say 99% of America doesn't understand that concept. That's what separates the 1% from the rest of the people. People get really upset that the rich keep getting richer, but it's because they know how to handle their finances and they understand that their money can work for them and earn even more money. It's crazy when you think about it at first. Like it was a completely foreign concept to me before I found this movement, but now it just seems like second nature. So
Yeah,
I mean, neither of them are on the wrong path. Like I'm sure her son going to college, or did she say two sons or daughters or just twins?
twins.
Whatever gender they are, they're both going to be fine. I mean, the entrepreneurial one is going to find his or her path, and the one going to college is also going to find his or her path. They might not get to financial independence from the same path, but at some point their paths will cross, and hopefully they'll be on this journey.
Yeah, and I think the college path, it might be a little bit harder up front, but definitely gets easier. And I'm not sure that the creative point will ever get easier. Like you have to hustle so much, especially now that I've seen that for myself, since I quit my job and I am playing stained glass artist. Um, like it's a lot of work to put all that effort into one piece and sell it, and then have to redo all of that work again for another piece. Um, where like in the stained glass artist that I work for in her studio, she's hustling all the time. And I mean, like her business took a huge hit earlier in the year when she was sick in the hospital for a couple of months. And so she's just now trying to catch up. Like it takes so much of you to be creative. But it's so much more enjoyable if that's what you want in your life. People who are in creative paths tend not to function well in stuffy corporate jobs anyway, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. And like, I mean, both of us know this. I know this because you quit your job. I haven't quite done that yet, but hopefully soon. But I would much rather make $20,000 a year doing something I love than make $200,000 doing something I hate. And that's kind of like the path that I was going down if I were to thinking about it. But I mean, in finance, you do get paid well. Like a few years down the road, I could be making in the $200,000 range. That's not far fetched.
Right.
But
yeah, no, that's definitely.
I'd rather quit and start making like $20,000 a year with side hustles and scale it up from there and be proud of what I've built and like actually have a hand on something that is mine. It's so much more rewarding to build something with your own hands.
Yeah, and especially when your entire path, like at work, it's all virtual. You're on the computer and you can't see like the results of your work. Whereas like when you're done doing something creative, like coming up with a mold for a frisbee golf disc or coming up with a Harry Potter flying key, like you can see the results. They're tangible. They're right there in front of you. You can touch it. You can feel it. I wouldn't recommend tasting most of those, but you could if you wanted to. Like it's a different kind of reward for all that creative work.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Next question. So Jimmy says, I know Cody is into fitness, wondering how your fitness pursuits complement your FI lifestyle, and if you have any extreme goals in that part of your life as well, competitions, obstacle races, marathons, etc.
Yeah, so actually definitely. So I mean I pretty much go to the gym like 5 days a week consistently, Jimmy. I definitely want to do some more like competitions like Tough Mudder, Spartan Race, stuff like that. But I've also like I used to do like some bodybuilding type stuff. I'd love to get back into that. I just honestly don't have the time. Like I squeeze in the gym after I get home from work every night. I get to the gym around 7:20, lift till 8:20, and then I go home, get home around 8:45, eat dinner. It's just such a cramped schedule. So like that's something I'm looking forward to once I pull the trigger on quitting this 9 to 5 job is getting like really serious back into fitness because that's such a huge part of my life, and I think that's something that's not really talked about that much in the FI community. But your life is nothing without fitness. You can have all the money in the world, but if you're unable to walk around when you're 50 or 60 years old, what's the point?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Eric was admiring your photo for the podcast. He was like, check out those guns. Wow, they look nice.
Yeah, I was flexing as hard as I possibly could.
That's what he also said too.
Yeah, I was about to pass out for that picture, but it was worth it.
Okay, maybe that was a little far.
Yeah, I just had to get TJ jealous because I didn't tell him I was flexing.
Dylan says he heard you photoshopped your biceps on your podcast cover.
Not
Fake
true, Dylan.
news. Fake news,
Dylan. That's my telephone. Sorry about that, guys.
Fake news. I can't hear anything. Oh, you have a... Is that like a home phone?
Yeah, it's a home phone. I'm at my mom's.
I was going to say, wow, you are like a very interesting millennial. Are you technically a millennial or are you a zennial?
I'm a millennial. The cutoff is 1998. I was born in 96. So.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to be like, wow, a millennial with a home phone. Like, that's interesting.
No, definitely not. I'm never going to have a home phone. But I think my mom has like some, I forget what it's called. It's like she pays $6 a month for it. So it's not that unfi.
Yeah, it's not breaking
but
the bank.
It's kind of old school.
We're gonna bust her on Choose FI. I heard Ruth still has a home phone.
Yeah, blow her up in the Facebook group, the Ruth Berman, and make fun of her home phone, please.
I will. Okay, so Paul says he asks, "How can I be so incredibly cool like Cody when I grow up, even though he's half my age?"
I don't think I'm that cool. I think most of my coolness comes from the fact that I'm young, so then people think I'm cool. That's how it was at Camp 5. People thought I was like a rock star, even though everyone else is doing like way more incredible things than me, just because I was 22 years old.
Okay, but we've had more time to do awesome things, and you're doing cool things with like way less time than us. So yeah, of course, people think you're cool. Also said David said he graduated high school in 1996. So
Oh man.
I hope you feel old now, David. Haha.
Oh geez, brutal.
um, so let's see here. Um, are you are you living in your mom's house, or are you just visiting?
So I'm kind of in between houses right now. I'm sometimes staying at my mom's house, and then I had like a family situation, so I just had to be close to home. I'm working like an hour away from home. Kind of sucks the commute, but I'm like in between two houses right now. So I'm spending some time here just because of the family stuff that's going on, and
Mhm.
some time at the other house. So yeah,
All right.
not in the basement though, Kevin.
Yes. David says you're very modest. I would
Well,
agree with that.
thank you. I try to be modest because I don't think I'm doing anything that crazy. Dylan.
Dylan said, to be fair, Cody learned about these concepts when he was still in diapers from his parents. It's true.
I guess so, yeah.
Your teething rings were probably like coins, like quarters and dimes and nickels you nod on,
Yeah, I don't
coin
remember, but
versions.
probably.
Okay, so Jimmy also would like to get, do you have any general words of wisdom for us ancient 20-year-olds, 28-year-olds who may have a wife and kids that have entrepreneurial desires?
Yeah, I think it's still just do it. Like, I think a lot of the times, having a wife and kids is a limiting belief, although I know you have less time than, say, I do. But like my co-host, TJ, on the podcast, he's 29, he has a kid, he has a wife. He's still making time. He still has a blog, he still has this podcast, and we're grinding every week. We're putting in a lot of hours. And we've been talking to and interviewing a bunch of people who are in this age range, like late 20s, mid to early 30s, and they have a wife and kids, and they're doing all this crazy stuff. And I really think it's just kind of the jump into it. You don't need 20 hours a week of free time. You need 5 or 6 hours a week just to get started. And once the ball gets rolling, it's really hard to make it stop.
That's true. Okay, so David would like to ask, how do you prioritize your time between your disc company, your website, your podcast, your social life, and Netflix?
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's tough. Lately, it's been a struggle. Like, I've been staying up pretty late some nights and, like, kind of foregoing sleep a little bit, which is regrettable. Hopefully, I don't want to be in that situation once I quit my job in the next few months. But it's really tough. I use my reminders on my phone like religiously to remind me to do stuff because it is a lot. Like I'm juggling the disc golf business, which I have to post every week. I have to fulfill orders. I have to respond with people for tournaments. I have to respond with people for sponsorships. The blog, I'm pumping out content. I write on the train. I write at work sometimes. Terrible employee. The podcast, that's usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday nights. I'm recording that. um Editing on the train. Yeah, so it's a grind. And then Netflix, I literally don't watch any TV. Like I have zero time for TV or video games or anything like that. I do have a social life though. You said, who is this that asked that? David?
David.
Yeah, so I'm still 22 years old, so there's a lot of drinking that goes on in my life, like every single weekend religiously with all my friends. So it's not like I'm sitting in my room typing away for 12 hours a day on Saturday. I still do have a social life despite all the side hustles and stuff.
Well, and I mean, you have time to spend with your girlfriend as well.
Yes, yes. Well, yeah, I should have mentioned that. Sorry, Lauren. Yeah, so I'll hang out with her too. But she'll be sad when I have to like do a podcast or something like this, and she's just sitting around waiting. But we still hang out. We still get to hang out a lot. Although it does suck compared to Australia because we lived together for 6 months. Now I'm working full time, and I see her when I get home at 8:45 for an hour and 15 minutes before I go to bed. So yeah, it's a struggle.
Yep. Yeah, it's always a balance. It's always a very tricky balance between creating content and consuming content and having the different times between the two. That's something that my boyfriend and I struggle with. Whereas you like before he started his podcast and stuff, he has all his side hustles, but like I had more, and so I was spending more time like doing stuff for the podcast and other things, and so it just became like, well, okay, I'm just gonna sit here and do stuff or like wait, I guess. So that's kind of bad. But yeah, it's a balance, and you have to figure out the good balance, or
You
else you're
really
just
have
gonna
to
go
like,
crazy.
yeah, no, you're totally right. And I like routine is everything to me. Like I'll give a more linear breakdown of the content versus like producing content versus consuming content. Like I said before, I'm writing blog posts, I'm editing podcasts while I'm on the train. It's because I have very poor Wi-Fi, and those are two things I can do without having Wi-Fi. Then once I get off the train, I'm walking to my job. That's when I listen to podcasts on 2x speed, so I can usually get through like usually three quarters of one, and then I'll finish it once I get to the office. So I get through like a podcast in the morning, another podcast when I'm walking back to the train. Um, I'll read blog articles while I'm at work. So it is a struggle, but it's a routine. Like once you kind of get that balance and you find what works for you, then you can kind of just get rolling with it.
Okay, so Kevin says, since you hope to be done with work in a year, where are you saving money? Or is your main strategy to build up your side income to be your main income rather than live off savings?
Sorry, wait. Let me go back to that. That was kind of a lot for one question.
Oh,
Sorry, let me find that. Where did that link go? Just want to make sure I'm just making sure I answer this correctly.
sure.
Somehow I got booted off that live stream thing.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Oh yeah, so here it is. Okay, so yeah, my main strategy, Kevin, I like to call it cash flow fi. I want to build cash flow like so if I need $2,000 a month to survive, I want to have my side hustles cash flow $2,000 a month. I don't need to have the 4% rule at whatever 24,000 a year times 25 is. I'm doing terrible mental math right now because I'm on a podcast live, but somewhere in the $600,000 range.
It's a lot.
Yeah, so no, that's not my goal at all because I would not be able to accumulate that amount of wealth in less than 1 year at a job. So I am trying to build up my side hustles. I do have some upcoming real estate investments as well in the deep south that I should be closing on in the next few weeks as well. So I have like a lot of things going on. Hopefully these side hustles can support the cost of my lifestyle.
I'd be very interested to know more about those because I did not know that was happening.
Yeah, been doing a lot of digging. I won't. I'm not going to give away the town or the zip code, but it's in Alabama. I've been looking at a lot of properties. Our property manager, I've been having a lot of phone calls with him lately, looking at some what's it called? Probable like investment properties, some rehabs. And yeah, we've gotten some really juicy deals. They're looking really good, like some 3% rule properties, which is insane. So even if you have terrible tenants like the Dingle House doing heroin in the bathroom and shooting people on the weekends, you're
It
still
was
making a
just
lot of cash
weed. It's just
flow.
weed and meth. It's
Okay,
just weed and
sorry.
meth. No heroin,
Just
no
weed.
crap.
Just weed and meth. Okay, but I mean, just those numbers definitely jive. So that's something I've been heavily looking at. And houses down there are extremely cheap. Like you can buy a 3-bedroom house for $35,000.
Super cheap. And the rents aren't like super low either. They're still pretty
No, it's
reasonable.
like 6 to 750 for like a 3-bedroom, which is pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Not gonna lie. Well, I hope that your super cash flowing deals go better than mine.
I hope so too, because yours seems like an absolute nightmare.
A little bit, yeah, definitely a little not great. Yeah, basically. Okay, so I think we have time for one more question. Let's see here. Mel asks, "What are your top habits slash life hacks to help you make time and stay motivated to keep creating great content for your blog and now for your podcast?"
I think it's the routine thing. Like I said before, like I'm very diligent about what I'm doing at specific times, so I'm never wasting a minute, even though I definitely am wasting a minute. I get sucked into like a Facebook group or sucked into social media because I do like promote my stuff on social media. I'm always just poking around and it's fun interacting with other people. So despite how time sucking it might be, I do like kind of just talking back and forth with people on Twitter, Instagram, whatever it may be. But I think that routine is everything. Once you get into that structure, that routine, you can really get a lot done.
Yeah, it's true. It's amazing. It's precisely what you can do when you're like motivated and you've got everything that you need right then and there. And it's just power through it, get it all
Yeah.
done.
Oh yeah, so
Definitely.
my mom is not here, David and Dylan. They're chanting Ruth, Ruth, Ruth.
I was going to ignore that part,
Oh, sorry.
gentlemen.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, that's okay. We don't have to bring her on.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. So, okay, so one more question I liked. So you're putting money into a 401k or putting it all towards your side investments?
So everything is going towards side investments. So the convenient slash strange thing is that my company doesn't like match my 401k or vet my 401k until 1 year in at the job. So I'd have to do 1 full year of service before they start matching my 401k contributions. And I think that I can outpace the tax savings that I would get from putting my money in 401k by investing in my own side hustles, investing in real estate properties, because those are also like you can get great tax deductions doing that stuff, especially with the new rule. I forget the name of the code, like something section 199 or whatever, where you can like take an additional 20% off of your entrepreneurial side hustle income
Yeah.
on your tax return.
Brandon, the mad scientist, had a really good article about the new loophole
Yeah, I don't
for
remember the exact tax code name, but something like section 199, something like that.
yeah, something like that. Anyway, go look at Brandon, the mad scientist website. He has a really good article that tells you exactly how to use all of that. So it's really good stuff. And by the way, you're welcome. I will happily ignore you at any time, Dylan. So you're welcome. See, this is why people should come to these things. You can get roundly abused by me in live in person. What could be better, right?
I love the live thing. It's awesome.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on and joining me. I am really glad that I didn't have to talk for 45 minutes by myself because there's no way my voice would have made that.
You're definitely crackling a little bit, but you probably had a blast at Camp Fi
I
because I
did.
definitely had a blast when I went.
I did indeed actually have a hugely good time, a bigly good time.
Bigly good
Uh,
time. Yeah.
Bigly good time. We played some cards against Mandy. I learned how to play euchre, which
What
is
is
a
it?
euchre.
I thought you said yogurt.
No. Euchre. We had yogurt. We
Okay.
played euchre, which is
Okay.
distinctly Midwestern card game. So now I have like completed um, my old lady trifecta. I have a cat. I knit, and now I play euchre.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a really good time. I had a blast. So I hope that everybody who watches this goes to Camp Fi or some other like weekend or FI related trip because they're a seriously good time and you make a lot of connections and learn a bunch, right, Cody?
Yes. Oh yeah. Before I go, one thing is there is one more Camp Fi this year, and I'm actually going to be speaking at it. It's Camp Fi South. It's September 7th to the 10th, and I think there's still some slots open. So if you are interested, sounds like you
Last
had a
minute
great time,
trip
Gwen. I
down
had a
to
great time at my
Arkansas.
last one. So yeah,
Okay. So tell everybody where you can be found nowadays.
I'd probably funnel people through the blog Fly to Fi, or I guess you can go on the podcast website too, Fire Below Zero, and just hit me up on the contact form. I'm very responsive. I love talking to people in this community. I always have phone calls. People will just hit me up, and yeah, I'm more than willing to talk to anyone.
That's awesome. All right. Thanks for coming on so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so that was Cody from Fly to Fi. He did an awesome job, and I'm actually kind of jealous because he found Fi 3 years earlier than me, and kind of made my story a little less impressive. But that's okay. My story is still pretty impressive too. I'm very excited to see what he does in the next 6 months and year, and the next couple of years coming up because he's going to do a lot of good things. I can tell already. So thank you so much for joining me on this Facebook Live. I'm going to go sign out and not talk for the rest of the night. Okay, I'm going to go sign out and try not to talk a lot for the next couple hours until I go to bed. So thank you so much for joining me and have a wonderful time. See you later.